Okay, we are recording. All right, let's get started. So again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Leslie Silva. I'm a career counselor here at the College of Engineering, specifically tasked with helping you all achieve your professional goals, whether that be landing an internship, research, a full-time position, going off to graduate school. Myself and Mike Madera, we are both here and part of the career services team at the college, here to help you with that. Today, we are going to talk about career fair preparation. And the career fair is going to look different this year, right? Because we are virtual. So we are going to talk about that. What is that going to look like? So first, regardless of it being virtual, I believe that students should really go to the career fair with a defined goal. So if you're a senior or a graduating student, you're likely looking for full-time positions. If you are a junior, a sophomore, a first-year graduate student, you're likely looking for internship programs or research opportunities, though typically at the career fair it's going to be it's going to be internship that you're looking at. And then if you're a freshman, you could just be engaging in industry exploration. You're not quite ready to be applying for internships perhaps, but it's a way for you.
Don't know. That's what you need to ask them.
Please, if whoever is speaking, please mute themselves. Thank you. Yeah, if you're a freshman, you might be looking to ask employers how to make yourself a stronger candidate for next year, whether that be, skills or classes that you should be taking, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I will say, if you're a freshman, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be applying to internship programs. Just keep in mind that you might not have the technical skills that companies are looking for just yet. So these are the things that we are going to be reviewing today: professional dress, testing your technology and being ready to be virtual, completing your Handshake profile, registering for the fair and signing up for slots with employers, which I'm going to show you how to do, researching companies ahead of time, which really hasn't changed much being virtual, preparing your introduction, which is your elevator pitch. And I would argue, please mute yourselves. Whoever is not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you. We're going to talk about preparing your introduction, which is your elevator pitch, which I would argue becomes even more important in a virtual setting, being prepared for that. And then making sure that you're preparing questions and comments to engage with the employer, to keep the conversation going, but also so that you make sure you're getting the information that you want and that you need. So we'll start with professional dress. Regardless of your gender presentation, you want to be as professional as possible. So if you have a suit, that's great, as long as it's a conservative color. So think navy, gray, black, tan. What you don't want to wear is like orange, red, green, no flashy colors. We're going to keep it conservative. If you don't have a suit, I don't want you to freak out and feel like you need to go spend a whole lot of money on that right now. Though I do think having a suit will suit you well in terms of going to interviews, but I don't want you all focusing on that right now. If you have a conservative shirt you can wear with a tie, or if you're going for a more feminine presentation, a button-down shirt, you could have a cardigan or a sweater. Just remember to be as professional as possible. We are not in person, and thus employers will not see your shoes in your belt, so you don't have to worry about that. In terms of jewelry, I like to keep it really simple, so I'll wear something like what I have here, like a small stud. I avoid anything large or too flashy. In terms of like facial hair, I'm not saying you have to shave it all off by any stretch, but you do want to have it, kept in an order if you have facial hair. If you decide to use a dress or a skirt, you want that to be, again, on the conservative side. They're not going to see the length of it, so that doesn't matter so much here. Keeping, again, your jewelry and your makeup really simple. Comfortable shoes, I usually give my spiel about the first time I wore stiletto heels, but you are going to be sitting down, so that does not matter. Again, regardless of your gender presentation, remember to be as professional as possible. This is sort of a visual image of business casual versus business professional. And I will tell you for this career fair, and if it were in person as well, business casual, which is on the left-hand side here, is fine. If you have the suit, wear a suit. You can never be overdressed for a career fair or for a job interview. But if you do not have that, don't feel like you can't attend the fair, because that is certainly not the case. So virtual technology preparation, this is really going to be the biggest difference in this virtual fair. So for starters, you want to make sure you have a strong internet connection. That said, I sort of live on a block that is a black hole for internet connections, though I'm doing well today. Sometimes my internet just gives out, and there's nothing that I can really do about that. That said, when you are in this virtual career fair, it's going to look very similar to a Zoom video session, although the video is all run through Handshake. There's a chat feature, just like we have a chat feature on Zoom. Utilize that chat feature. If you're having technological difficulties, let the recruiter know. If you're about to be booted out, like, please let them know before that happens. But if for some reason your video and your audio isn't working, you're still able to communicate with them through the chat feature. So definitely utilize that. Declutter your background if it's possible. So the reason I say that is because here in my house, the room that I can use that has internet, that has a stronger connection, I don't have like a blank white wall. So you see, like, there's a door behind me, there's a ceiling fan, there's paintings, but there's no clutter. There's no dirty clothes, laundry, trash. So just make sure your background, if you have things behind you, like, that's okay. It's understandable right now, but just make sure it looks neat. Test this out with a friend. And one of the biggest reasons I would say is often when you're on Zoom or you're in a chat where you can see yourself, you tend to look at yourself. I'm doing that right now, right? I'm looking at myself. You want to focus in on the camera so that you make sure you're looking at the person that you're talking to. So test this out with a friend. You can test this out with me, with Mike, with Katie Snap, who is the STEM coach at the Career Center, but testing it out is definitely helpful. Keep in mind, employers may use Zoom. So what do I mean by that? You're going to see a video of what this is going to look like the day of the fair. So again, the video function in Handshake is very similar to Zoom, but you might get into your video session and the employer might say, hey, I'm going to drop a Zoom link in the chat. Please go to that Zoom for this session. So I say that so that you guys make sure your Zoom names are appropriate in case, your video cuts out and they see your Zoom name. And if you have an idle Zoom picture, make sure that's appropriate as well. Complete your Handshake profile. So a Handshake is an important tool for you guys always in looking for jobs and internships. It's how you schedule appointments with us. But this year it's even more important because we are virtual. Everything is being run through Handshake. The career fair is being run through Handshake. Info sessions with employers throughout the year are going to be run through Handshake. On-campus interviews are going to be run through Handshake. So I really want you guys to consider Handshake as your canvas for career services. I know you guys are in Canvas every day. I want you guys getting used to being in Handshake every day. And the reason is, especially if you attend the fair, employers can message you directly on Handshake. So it's a really good tool for you to also be able to communicate directly with these recruiters. And if you're not checking it every day, well, what if they send you a message about an interview and you don't, you're not used to using Handshake, so you look at it 2 weeks later and you miss this really important message. So you can also set your notifications in Handshake to send you certain emails for things. So I would absolutely set that up and just make sure, make it a habit to check it once a day. Fill out your Handshake profile as completely as possible. So you're going to upload a resume, and that's how employers are going to be able to see your resume, is going to be through Handshake. So you must upload a resume. But I would also encourage you to fill out the rest of the profile, because it's an opportunity for you to engage with employers and to, show more of your skills or classes you've taken, projects you've done, etc. When you're filling out your profile, change your profile setting to community. So if you click on your picture, there will be the opportunity to change your profile setting to community. That's really important so that employers can look at it. Again, must upload a resume to Handshake. Please have it reviewed by myself, by Mike Madera, by Katie Snap at the Career Center, or any of the other Career Center coaches. I mentioned Katie Snap because she's the STEM coach. There's really no reason for you guys to go into the career fair without having had your resumes reviewed. Upload a profile picture. So if you're on LinkedIn, which everyone here should be on LinkedIn. So if you aren't, you should schedule an appointment with one of us to talk about that. But you could use your same profile picture that you use on LinkedIn. I recognize that right now the Career Center isn't open to allow you guys to get like professional headshots. So if you don't have any picture, I would say dress nicely from the waist up and then have somebody at your house, a friend, a neighbor, a family member, take a picture of you with like a plain background, like a white background behind you. If that's not possible for you, if you're living alone and not able to see anyone right now, there are definitely ways to take selfies that would not look like you're taking a selfie. So, you know, sometimes you just have to work with what you got, but definitely upload a picture. I already mentioned this here, check for messages regularly. And then lastly, Handshake is also a place where you can schedule an appointment with me, Mike, Katie, or anybody at the Career Center. So registering for the fair, you will be registering for the fair through Handshake. So some of you who are in seminar, you may have already done this, so you know it's pretty simple. But for those of you who haven't, you would go into Handshake and you can go to events, and then you would get to one of our career fairs and you just hit register. It's really easy and straightforward. Registration for each fair opens 2 weeks before the fair. So right now, the only fair that student registration is open for would be our fair on September 24th. You can go into Handshake right now, though, even without registering for the other fairs, and start reviewing a list of employers and start, you know, creating a list of employers that you want to meet with. And then you're going to do your research, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. You are going to, once you are registered for the fair, sign up for one-on-one or group time slots with employers. So employers have the option of only having one-on-one sessions, which would just be you and the recruiter, or having group sessions, which look more like info sessions with the employer, where you would be with a group of students in there. All sessions are 10 minutes long. Be very careful about booking back-to-back sessions. You know, your session could go over time, you could lose track of time, you don't want to have to rush out to get to the next session. That said, I understand, you know, you have busy schedules, time slots might already be filled, and you can only do things back-to-back. Just be hyper aware of the time and make sure that you let the employer know when you're at the 9-minute mark that you have another time slot and what would be the best way to follow up with them and thank them for their time. You can sign into each session 5 minutes ahead of time. So that's another good reason not to book back-to-back sessions, because you can sign in early and make sure that you're there, you're on time, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to quickly show you all what it would look like to sign up for a time slot. So I'm going to have to stop sharing here so I can reshare my screen. So this is what the home page for your Handshake will look like in your student account. So you would go to events here, and you would be able to find the fair. I've already registered for the fair, and it's very straightforward in terms of registration. Mike sends out links to you guys via email, so I'm confident that you know how to do this. But now I need to schedule sessions, because I'm registered, but I haven't scheduled yet. Okay, so one of the employers is the College of Engineering. Let me see what's available. Okay, I'm free at 11:30. I'm gonna schedule with Colleen at 11:30. I also wanna meet with someone at the Career Center. So I'm gonna go in there. 11:30, you'll see, isn't available for me because I've already scheduled something, so it blocks that out for you automatically. So I'm going to schedule it Sammy at 11:10. That'll give me 10 minutes in between. Confirm. That's it. And it automatically populates on the right-hand side here with what your sessions are. You can also go to your sessions and you'll see here, it tells you when you don't have a session as well. So it's very straightforward, very user-friendly. Handshake was really created for student use. So I'm going to stop sharing and open it up to some questions.
I have a question. You mentioned that, so right underneath one of the questions that you had as for juniors, seniors, and sophomores based off of internship, if you have an internship already for you available next summer, but you still want to go to the career fair just for job references in the future, how would you go about that for the career fair that's coming up?
Yeah, so you would be engaging more so in industry exploration. So you could meet with a company and, when you give your pitch, you could let them know in the elevator pitch, and we're going to go through that momentarily, that you actually have an internship lined up with X company for next summer, but you're really interested in this company for either a future internship or a future full-time position. And you could ask them specifically, what are some skills that you look for in job candidates? Do you have any recommendations for classes I could take to make myself a stronger candidate before applying for your company in the future? So there's still an opportunity for you to engage in industry exploration in your situation. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Will there be like a list of employers that we could see who are coming to the career fair?
It's already on there. So it's already in Handshake. If you go to the career fairs, which again, Mike Madera also sent out an email, it might have been today or yesterday, I can't quite remember, with links to the fairs. So yeah, you can already go in and look at that.
When I was looking at the career fair for the civil engineering one on the 24th, there were like some companies that it didn't really have a place to sign up for a one-on-one or a group session. It just said like nothing was available. Does that mean it's coming or they're all taken?
Nope, that means it's coming. So some employers have not filled out their time slots yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if you see in the chat, Mike said registration is open for the first fair on the 24th, and for the more general engineering fair on October 1st, it's going to open on Monday. I did get a question in the chat. On the resume, could we add something that we are working on now? Like we are working on SolidWorks now. Could I add it to my resume? Yes, you can add things that you are currently working on now. Other questions before we keep going? Okay. Okay, so as you all saw, registering for the fair is pretty easy. Now what else, right? So you want to be researching these companies ahead of time. I would focus on 5 to 7 employers, but if there are more employers that you are excited about and you have the time to do your research and meet with them, that's great. Meet with who you want to meet with. You want to have basic knowledge about what these companies do. You do not want to walk up to SEPTA and say, hey, what do you do here? Like, you should know that they're a transportation company. You should have a basic understanding of the company. So what are the services and products they provide? What is the size and structure of the company? And I also really encourage you all to think about this as important information for yourselves, in looking at things like the mission, the purpose, the values of the company. Do they align with yours? Is this a company you want to work for? So this information absolutely is going to help you look like you've done your research when you're talking and meeting with employers, but it's also information for yourself, right? Some people want to work at a small company where they're going to get their hands on a lot of different areas and working with a lot of different people because it's a smaller company. Some people want to work at a larger company where they're going to hyper specialize in one area. That's not for me to decide, that's for you to decide. And your research is going to help guide you in that process. Check out any recent awards or recognition or news about the company. And I think that the best way to do this is really to follow them on LinkedIn. You can certainly follow them on like Twitter or Facebook, although most of you are probably not on Facebook. But if your Twitter is filled with hot takes and retweets you don't want a company to see, don't follow them on Twitter. You could create maybe a professional Twitter account to follow companies. You don't need to know everything. You do not have to be experts on these companies, but you do need to know a basic amount of information. So the elevator pitch, can anybody tell me what the elevator pitch is? You can just shout it out. Anybody out of 50 people, I bet someone here knows what an elevator pitch is.
It's like how you present yourself like to them within like a short amount of time and like market yourself kind of.
Yeah, so elevator pitch is essentially a 30-second or so introduction about yourself. So for me, my elevator pitch, if I were still in graduate school, for example, might be, hi, my name is Leslie Silva. I'm currently getting my master's in clinical professional counseling at LaSalle University. I recently completed a 1.5-year-long internship with Temple's main career center, where I worked one-on-one with students in counseling appointments and also created unique programming to meet their needs. Upon graduating from my program, I'm looking to land a full-time position as a career counselor at Temple University. Could you tell me more about the opportunities in that area? Right, so I gave my name, what I'm currently doing, which, you know, you all should mention what your concentration is. I talked a little bit about like past skills and experiences. And then in my closing, I pitched it to the company. I said, I'm looking for a full-time position. Can you tell me more about those opportunities? So that last line in the elevator pitch is really going to direct the conversation where you want it to go. So I really like this breakdown of the elevator pitch of present, past, and future. So for me, present was, I'm currently getting my master's in professional clinical counseling at LaSalle University. My past was about an internship I had. For you guys, maybe you haven't had an internship yet. You could talk about research. You could talk about classes you're currently taking. You could talk about some technical skills you have, projects, experience with student organizations, part-time jobs, volunteering. Like there's a lot of information to pull from, but you definitely want to try to tailor it to the company or industry that you're talking to. And then finally, the future is that last statement where you're looking ahead, right? I'm looking for internship opportunities. I'm looking for a full-time job. And then gearing the conversation to where you want it to go, whether that's, asking a question, which generally that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to give you a few examples of this. So maybe if I were a freshman, I might say something like, hi, my name is Jane Doe. It's nice to meet you. I'm in my freshman year here at Temple University, and I'm studying bioengineering. I have just begun my coursework, but I'm very interested in your internship program because of the bacteria testing your organization conducts. What types of qualities do you look for in internship applicants? So this is a freshman who likely is just starting out and has only taken maybe intro to engineering, or they're in intro to engineering right now. So they don't even have like coursework yet to talk about, but they did their research. So they found that this internship program is interesting to them because of the bacteria testing the organization conducts, right? So they still dropped a piece to show that they did their research. And then they're asking, what types of qualities do you look for in an internship? So this is a person that's engaging in more so in industry exploration. Here's an example for a junior looking for an internship. Hi, my name is John Doe. It's nice to meet you. I'm a junior here at Temple University, majoring in electrical engineering. My background includes coursework in electrical circuits and digital system design. So you'll notice this person didn't talk about an internship. They didn't talk about a professional experience. They mentioned some courses that they've taken. I'm looking for an electrical engineering internship for this coming summer. I know that your company has recently expanded their product line to include wireless communication devices, and I'm really interested in this area. What types of internships are you currently hiring for? So again, they also showed that they did a little bit of their research, and then they're kicking the question to the employer. Last one here. Hi, my name is Mary Smith. It's nice to meet you. I'm a senior here at Temple University, majoring in mechanical engineering. My most recent project experience includes developing and manufacturing an RC aircraft. That is their senior design project. And I hope you guys are kind of noticing a trend here. I'm not mentioning professional experience, but I'm still highlighting engineering experience, whether that be through a project or through coursework. Like Lockheed Martin, I believe in the importance of delivering innovative solutions to help keep people safe. That's part of their tagline. So they're like literally using the language from the company. I feel that I would be a strong candidate for the systems engineering position listed on Handshake and would like to hear more about that role. So again, kicking it to the employer, but also this person before the fair, they went into Handshake to see if there were any specific jobs that they wanted to apply for at this company. And now they're able to get more specific information about this job. So again, it's showing that they're taking initiative and going beyond just showing up for the fair. So now we are going to take a few minutes to practice this. I want you guys to write out a pitch. I understand if you don't have time to finish it, that is okay. And I am going to leave this slide up to give you an example of sort of that breakdown of present, past, and future. And I'm going to give you about 3 minutes or so to work on this. Okay, do we have any volunteers to read their elevator pitch? It's okay if they're not finished.
I can go, but I didn't finish.
Oh, that's okay, Jack, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jack Markson, and I'm currently a sophomore studying mechanical engineering here at Temple. Currently, I'm a teaching assistant in the physics department. Although I did not see any Handshake postings for any internships, I am a part of your Engineering Connect program, and I saw a systems engineer posting on your website. I'm looking for, and I stopped after that.
Great. So, you said who you were, you gave a little bit about your background. I also like that you connected to that. I'm sorry, I don't quite remember, Jack, if it was a camp or a program that connects to the employer.
Yeah, so it was like they have a website, and like I joined like the college students website one, and it's kind of like showing that I joined like their company, I guess. So I put that in there.
Yeah, I think that that was a great thing to mention. And then just remember that you would want to kick it to the employer to ask a question or start the conversation. But nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other volunteers?
I'll give it a try. So I wrote, hello, my name is Javeris. I am a junior at Temple University studying civil engineering. I am currently working with the College of Engineering as an OWL ambassador. This past summer, I completed an internship with Hensel Phelps, where I worked on building a new concourse and security checkpoints for the Nashville airport. And I didn't get to finish the last part, but that's what I got for now.
Nice, thank you. So you see there, talked about, again, what their concentration is, a little bit about an internship they just completed, also mentioned being an OWL ambassador, which definitely shows you're a dedicated student. So yeah, nice work. You would just want to round that out with your looking to the future. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Any other volunteers? Okay, we will just keep going for the sake of time. The reason I go over this with you guys is because you'd be surprised when you get into a space and you're, introducing yourself to someone. It's so much better if you're prepared with what you want to say. You come off as more prepared, and then you get to hear the answer to comments and questions that you want to know. So I would really encourage you all to prepare that pitch before you meet with employers. So the day of is definitely going to look a lot different than past fairs. So for starters, in terms of your resume, I can't say this enough or stress this enough. Make sure you have your resume uploaded to Handshake. Additionally, if possible, if you have access to a printer, which I understand not everyone does, so I totally get that, but if you do, I would have a copy of your resume out in front of you. If you don't, and even if you do, I absolutely recommend having a PDF of your resume ready to go on your computer. You could get into the session with the employer and they could, say, oh, I actually didn't look at your profile. Here's my email. Can you send me your resume real quick? So you don't want to lose time with that. You want to be ready to go. So have your resume pulled up. I would also recommend having a notepad with you for sure, for you to take notes during or after each conversation. So right now I'm jotting down notes and you guys can't see me. So there is one benefit to being virtual in the sense that if you were in person, having a notepad and taking notes while you're talking to an employer, it's might not be the best situation, but you're virtual, right? So use it to your advantage. You can take notes during or after each session. If I were you all, I would set myself up really nicely with an Excel spreadsheet, right? So I would have the name of the company, a space for recruiter, a place for how to follow up, and then some notes. So I met with Michael at SEPTA. Michael told me to follow up with him on LinkedIn, and also told me to apply for blank position. This way, you're super organized when you go to send your follow-up thank you notes after the fair, which we are going to talk about. But it's really important that at the end of each conversation, you ask the employer what is the best way to follow up with you. Because if they say on LinkedIn and you message them on Handshake, you've already kind of failed the first test, right? Or if they say to email them and you message them on Handshake again, you failed the first test that they've given you. So you want to make sure that you are writing down what the best way to follow up is. Water. I'm someone who drinks a lot of water, and if you get parched or you get something in your throat in the middle of the session, you want to have your water there so you don't have to go and get it. Put your phone away. I repeat, just put your phone away. If you have it out on the desk, anytime that thing lights up, you're going to go like this. We all do it. We're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. So if I'm doing anything important, I'm putting my phone away, and this is important, right? This is going to help get you a job. So just put it away. Sign into your session 5 minutes before if it's possible for you. You are able to sign into it 5 minutes before, and I would certainly recommend doing so. So I'm going to stop my share so that I can show you all a video created by the Career Center to help you all navigate the fair and sort of show you what that's going to look like.
Hello, this video is going to tell you a little bit about what the career fair is going to look like on the day of the fair in Handshake. This video assumes that you have registered for the career fair and potentially signed up for 1 or 2 group sessions or one-on-one sessions with employers. When you hop into Handshake, you're going to see right here on your home page, you can go immediately to your schedule. This is going to take you directly into the career fair. Please note that if you do want to sign up for additional schedules on the day of the fair, you need to be signed up at least 1 minute in advance of the session in order to join. Once you're inside the fair, you're going to see some helpful tips to help you navigate for your day. Right here in the tab for your sessions is going to go over your overall schedule for the day. It's going to show you availability times where you do not have anything scheduled. Right along with that is going to be a link to show you open sessions. Those open sessions could be group sessions or one-on-one sessions with a variety of employers. Other areas where you've already signed up for group sessions or one-on-ones, it'll give you the information along with an icon to immediately launch your video. Please note that you're able to actually log in about 5 minutes prior to any of your group sessions or one-on-ones. And when you do enter into the session, most likely it's going to ask you to allow Handshake to access your video and your audio. So you will see that prompt as well. Once you are into a session, you're going to see a variety of things. First and foremost, it's going to have your name as well as your institution name on the screen. You do have the option to turn on and off your audio and your video as well. Please keep in mind that there's also chat sessions. So if you have any challenges or troubleshooting issues with your video on the day of, you're absolutely capable of utilizing the chat function as well to engage with employers. Two things we want to highlight that are very different than the platform we're using at Temple, which is Zoom. Please note that in the chat session, there is no availability to share documents such as resumes. So that is not an option in this platform. Also, if you note, you can see the background of where Anna is in this video. Please note that there are no capabilities to have virtual backgrounds put in. So make sure that you're in an appropriate place to engage employers on the day of the fair. At any point, you can leave the session based on the icon right here, and you're also able to log back in using the same device. A few helpful tips: if you do have any issues or need to check on your video or for troubleshooting, you can use this QR code to head right to a Handshake video and article that will go over that with you. If you do have challenges with your video on the day of the fair, don't just exit the fair and give up. You can absolutely use the chat function in both group sessions and one-on-one sessions to connect with employers. And try to remember, this is a new process for everyone, even most of our employers. So just make sure that you're patient and do your best. We wish you great luck at the fair. If you do have any questions, you can contact the Career Center. While we are not in office at this time, you can absolutely reach any of our career coaches for interview prep or appointments through temple.joinhandshake.com. We wish you luck and take care.
Okay, so I do want to, I want to answer the question that's in the chat. So what was the idea for the Excel sheet again? I loved it. So that would be how to keep your contacts for employers really organized. So I would create a spreadsheet that would have, you know, a slot for employer, so the name or company, right? So SEPTA, a slot for recruiter, so John. So I talked to John at SEPTA. A spot for follow-up, so how that person asked you to follow up, whether that be email, LinkedIn, or Handshake messaging, which I imagine are going to be the only 3 ways, and then a spot for notes. So this way, when you go to do all of your follow-ups the next day or that evening, it's super easy for you, you're well organized, and you're ready to go. Does anyone have any questions? That's why I have the water. Okay, we will keep going and we'll open it up to questions at the end. Talking to employers, they are people just like you and I. So make eye contact. And again, I like practicing that because I think we all probably have a tendency to look at ourselves in the video and you want to look in the camera. Communicate. If you all plan for this ahead of time, creating your pitch, having questions and comments that you want to ask each employer, you are going to communicate really clearly and effectively. Be flexible. If they ask you to submit an application in 48 hours, I would recommend you do that. There's a reason that they're asking you to do that. Ask questions. Your research is going to help guide your questions. I worked with a student a few years ago who wanted to work at AECOM, and one of the reasons was because they were doing a restoration project at the high school he attended at Central High, and he would it meant a lot to him to be able to work on that project as an alum. So he asked that hyper specific question to an employer. And what that shows is beyond like genuine interest, right? He was genuinely interested in that role and in that specific project. It also showed that he, went above and beyond just doing a quick Google search. Like he looked to see what are the types of projects that they were currently working on. Be enthusiastic, but quick. You have 10 minutes here. And again, that's why I really stress preparing on the front end of this, because you have 10 minutes. If there are specific questions that you want answers to, like you need to ask those questions. And the more prepared you are, the better that's going to flow. Ask every single employer for what is the best way to follow up with them. Email, LinkedIn, Handshake. Keep in mind, some of them are just going to say no. Some of these employers are meeting with hundreds of students a semester, and they simply just don't want them reaching out to them directly. That doesn't mean you had a bad conversation. It doesn't mean that at all. They could still absolutely, mark your resume down as someone that they want to interview. So try not to take it personally. Like this stuff just happens. Directing the conversation. We've talked about this a bunch. You could ask questions like, what do you look for in resumes or in a candidate? As a freshman, I have time to plan ahead. Can you recommend any skills I should be developing or classes that I should take? Also keep in mind that some of these recruiters are Temple alums. They were in your shoes not that long ago. And if that's the case, ask them if there are any professors that they recommend, classes they recommend. This is a chance for you to also like build a rapport with these people. And it is a little bit easier for alums who recently graduated. What projects do interns work on at your organization? This is also valuable information for you, right? Like, are you going to be doing a lot of just getting people coffee and assisting with things, or are you actually going to get more hands-on experience? If it's really important for you to know about their hiring timeline because you have other applications submitted, you should ask that question. And again, just be prepared to hear no. Following up. Yes, you have to follow up. Unless you are completely uninterested in the company and never want to talk to them again, you should be following up. And really, I would send even if it's just a quick or short thank you note to everybody you meet with. It's considerate. You never know if those people are going to be working in a company in the future you want to work at, right? So it's a nice thing to do when people are giving you their time. For your follow-up note, you want to make specific reference to your conversation if that's possible. And the better notes you take after each conversation, the better your follow-up thank you note is going to be. If you have a question that's appropriate, ask it, and then fulfill their requests. So if they've asked you to apply for a job or internship on their website, do that. And in your follow-up, you would let them know you've done that. Now, there is a sample follow-up thank you note. If you all go to TU Portal, to the College of Engineering tab, under advising, there is a career services section with sample resumes, cover letters. There is a career fair prep handout there, and there is a sample follow-up thank you note on that if you had any trouble with that. Some common employer complaints. Strong perfume or cologne. You can smell as good or as bad as you want. You're going to be, in your own space. Personal appearance, which we've already talked about. Poor communication. There's just no excuse for that in the sense that you all are going to be preparing your elevator pitches and you're going to prepare thoughtful questions. So you are going to be sharp when it comes to communication. Lack of knowledge on the firm. So again, walking up to a company and asking them, what do you do here? Like, let's avoid that. Poor body language. So I don't want to be like this at my seat. I don't want to be like this, right? I'm going to try to sit up straight, have my whole, from the chest up in the image. Cutting the line, not a thing. There are no lines here. And then no resume or poor resume. Again, no excuse for that, especially since a lot of you are in seminar and you've gotten feedback on your resume from me and Mike and Katie. So I'd really encourage you to look at that feedback, apply it to your resume. If you have any questions about it, come see us. You have a lot of access here in terms of tools for your resume, so definitely use them. There's just no excuse for a poor resume. If you have any questions, here is my email. You can also schedule an appointment through Handshake, as I've said many times here, with me, with Mike, Katie, any of our career coaches at the Career Center. Just want to throw out these dates here. The first fair is going to be on Thursday, September 24th. That is going to be civil, environmental, construction industry, right? So these companies are still interested in hiring mechanical engineers, and they're still interested in hiring electrical engineers, but that is the industry for that fair. On Thursday, October 1st, it's going to be a more general engineering fair. And then on Friday, the 16th, we are collaborating with the College of Science and Technology for a life sciences fair. Next week, I'm going to be hosting a Handshake workshop. I'm bringing in someone from the Career Center to talk to you guys about the best practices for your Handshake profile and utilizing Handshake in general. So again, given how important Handshake is this year, I would really recommend attending if you are able to. And that's it. I'm gonna open this up to questions. Mike, do you see this question in the chat? Do you want to speak to that? Oh, maybe he stepped away for a moment. Okay, the fair on 9/24 is going to be, yeah, there, Mike gave you part of your answer there. Again, it's for the civil, environmental, construction industry. I think the fair that you would most be interested in would be the Life Sciences Fair on October 16th. Other questions?
I have a question. For engineering seminar, our professor said that we had to sign up for a interview practice, and I was confused as to how we signed up for that on. Is it through Handshake, or is it
Do you mean
an event that you guys are having?
So do you mean part of your assignment for seminar that we talked about in our video, which would be you signing up for a slot in the practice career fair on September 21st? It's just a practice. You're just signing up for the time slot. It's not an actual interview or session with an employer. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, because I couldn't find it, and I found something else on Handshake that they do provide like practice interviews, but I wasn't sure if it was that. I knew it was an event, but I couldn't find the event. But I get it now.
You should have gotten an email from Handshake to register for a practice engineering fair on September 21st. And all you have to do is do what I showed you guys in this video, is just sign up for one time slot with a fake employer. That's it. There's no interview. That's the whole assignment.
Okay, I did that. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, for the rest of you guys in seminar, I'm deleting that career fair on Friday because we don't actually want to go off on Monday. So if you haven't done that yet, you have only a few more days to do so.
I'm seeing a question in the chat. Will future sessions like the one about Handshake be recorded and uploaded somewhere? Yeah, I will record that session. So you can, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to send it to you.
Wait, the thing Mike said, could he repeat that? It sounded kind of blurry or like muffly.
Sorry, so for the assignment for seminar, where you had to sign up for a one-on-one time slot at the fake career fair, if you haven't done that yet, do it, because I'm actually going to delete that career fair on Friday because we don't want it to actually happen. We don't want, it's not real. So if you haven't done it yet, do it by Friday, because we're going to see who signed up Friday afternoonish, and then I'll delete it at the end of the day.
So is that on Handshake?
You should have received an invite through a Handshake email. So if you just check your email inbox for emails from Handshake, I did it all on Monday morning. So everybody got an invite on Monday morning.
I just want to point out what Mike dropped in the chat on at the fair on October 1st. Globus Medical and GSK are attending that fair. So if those companies interest you, just want to highlight that they're going to be at the more general engineering fair. Other questions?
Could we sign up for the practice fair if we're not in seminar?
No, I mean, there's no value. So it's like a fake thing. So there was an assignment for seminar to go sign in and pick a time slot just so students could see how the time slot selection worked.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want to do that, Leslie kind of showed you how to do it earlier, but if you kind of want to run through it, just email Leslie or I and we can shoot you an invite to it. You can do it.
So we don't actually have to go to anything. I see it's like 11 a.m. on the 21st. So I have a class.
Yeah, it's not real.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a sign up.
Yeah. I'm seeing another question in the chat. Is there a chance internships could be canceled this summer again because of COVID, or do you think the companies are more prepared this year? I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, Madeline, it's tough. So the places that we've talked to are full speed ahead, but a lot of it is just what they are doing with their regular staff. So if they are going to have their regular staff be in person, you know, they are open to doing internships in person, but if they don't, it's hard to justify that. So, and some of it's a little wonky, right? So for like Lockheed Martin was considered essential. So they were essential employees. So they stayed in the office. They had a lot of students who continued their internships. Obviously, the essential nature of Lockheed Martin is debatable depending on your opinion. But other companies were considered non-essential, so they just closed. They didn't have the availability. Well, like construction companies are full speed ahead, hiring everybody. Everybody was there. They had interns this summer. So my sense is that companies are planning to still hire interns this summer, and that with, you know, a year of runtime, if things get a little hairy or continue to be a little hairy with COVID, that all that stuff may transfer. But on an individual level, it's certainly possible things get canceled again. But there does seem to be more awareness that things are a little odd than there was in March of last year or this year.
Thanks, Mike. And I'm also going to kick this question to you here. When signing up for one-on-one sessions, how do you choose whether to sign up between an engineer, project manager, HR rep, etc.?
I wouldn't worry about it too much. I would just try to find whatever time works best for you. If there's multiple, whoever you feel most comfortable talking to, they're all going to ask you the same questions. I mean, all of these interviews at the fair with their little 10-minute, you know, pop availability, or they'll probably have the same set of questions they're going to ask everybody. And then if that goes well, they'll bring you into, I was going to say in person, they'll give you a longer Zoom interview where you kind of meet with everybody. So if you feel like you communicate better with more technical people, feel free to jump in with a tech person. If you feel like you're not ready for tech questions today, feel free to go with the HR rep, who probably won't ask you a ton of tech questions. But I think you're probably just going to see the same questions from just about everybody.
Thanks, Mike. Other questions?
Yeah, I have one other question. So I know, like, for example, if this is like one of the first times you attend your career fairs, you don't know if you feel prepared, if you know, like, you have enough courses on your back. So how do you know if you feel, so is there, like, I don't know, some like requirements of courses that you have to take in order for you to be prepared for an internship? Is there like certain stuff you have to know if you're gonna do an internship or something like that, kind of like a baseline for just like technical material you have to know before you go into an internship?
I mean, that's almost impossible to answer in the sense that every company is going to be different. I think in this profile I mentioned a bunch about how freshmen are likely not going to get hired for internships. It doesn't mean that the career fair can't be helpful to you to, ask questions about how to make yourself the right candidate for, the next time around. But if you're a sophomore, you should be applying to internships, keeping in mind that maybe you're going to apply to smaller companies, mid-sized companies, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, like they're typically going to hire juniors. But yes, I think that there are still opportunities out there for underclassmen. Mike, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Everybody's situation is a little different. I think it's important to understand how and why companies want to do the hiring. So the larger companies want to hire a junior as an intern so they can give them a job offer at the beginning of their senior year and have that locked up. While if they hire a freshman or sophomore, they can't do that. It becomes a longer time frame in terms of getting them into the door. So that's the focus on that. So they're just going to be more hesitant to hire somebody who's not that far along in their, it's all about grad date with all of this stuff. I know it's something we talk about with resumes. You should put your expected graduation date, not when you started and when you're leaving. And that's why, from the company's perspective, when you're graduating is when I can hire you. And that's their biggest focus. Everything else is just kind of getting you to the point of becoming a useful hirer, hiree, for lack of a better term.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Other questions?
Where will this recording be available? Because I missed a few slides or a few points on some slides.
It should be.
Or will it be available?
It will. Yeah, there will be a recording available for career fair prep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And where will that be?
Mike will likely send it out with like a career fair email. So if you don't look at Mike's emails, I really recommend doing so. They're the types of emails that get you paid. So just make sure that, especially right now in the next couple weeks, that you are opening all of Mike Madera's emails. Other questions? Okay, well, if you have any questions for us, if it's a quick question, email us. If it's not a quick question, I really recommend scheduling an appointment, and you can do that again through Handshake.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When the career fair registration will be open?
So each registration for each fair will open 2 weeks before the fair. So for the first fair on the 24th, that registration is open. For the fair on October 1st, it will open on Monday.
All right, thanks.
Sure. I have a question in the chat here. In the video, they said that there will be one-on-one and group sessions. Are the group sessions basically with a bunch of other students or multiple company representatives, and will those still be 10 minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. Group sessions are 30 minutes, and they're basically like info sessions. So yeah, you're going to be in a a chat room with a number of other students and at least one represented from the company. We don't know if they'll have more than one, depending on the company. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for attending. Again, if you haven't dropped your email into the chat, please do so now, and have a great night.
I have a question. I heard there's a resume review event going on tomorrow.
If you're with the Society of Professional Hispanic Engineers, then yes, I will be presenting at 5 to that group. Otherwise, I'm not sure.
Because I'm going to be part of it, and I just wanted to make sure if anyone was available, if they wanted to attend, it'll be something that will be available for them.
Thank you for opening that up here.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.